What's going on, y'all? Welcome to another edition of Gen Sports Corner. Back at you for October 25th, 2019. Back in the house. I'm doing a podcast a little early this week. I usually do it Sunday mornings, 11 o'clock Eastern Time in the morning, 11 a.m. Eastern Time in the morning. But there's a lot of things that happen. Talk about them. Starting with the Philadelphia Phillies and their big signing of Joe Girardi, big move, and then the Sixers, big game, big win on Wednesday against the Celtics. I want to talk about the game, how it went down, how they looked. What's going on, Charlotte? And I also want to talk about, like I said, the Phillies and them signing Girardi. It's a step in the right direction. I'm gonna get to that. Those are the two main things I wanted to get to, and then a little bit of Eagles news, some whispering, some chitter chatter from some people that got cut, and some people, it's all over the place with them. But let me start off with the Phillies. You see, I got the Phillies hat on. Big signing of Joe Girardi, former manager of the New York Yankees. I'm so happy about the signing. They had a couple of different options out there that they were thinking about getting. They were thinking about Joe Girardi, obviously. They were thinking about Buck Showalter, who is okay. He had some solid years managing the Orioles, and he has some okay years managing the Yankees before in the late 90s. But overall, it's not somebody that really jumped off the page to me. I've heard of the name, obviously, but I wasn't too sold on him. The word was that Matt Klentak was more of a Showalter guy, whereas maybe not Montgomery, John Middleton was more of a Joe Girardi guy. That's just speculation. That was the hearsay, and I'm glad that John Middleton, if that was the case, that he got his way and got his guy, because we've obviously seen how good he was. We ran up against the Yankees in 2009 during that 3-year run that we had from 08 all the way up to 2011. It was a really good World Series, very highly competitive, and he was a really good leader and a manager for that team. He really got those guys inspired. He was able to coach with feel, and that's something that we've been lacking for a while since Charlie. He's able to use analytics, but he can also coach from his gut. He was a player from 89, I believe 89, all the way up to played on some of those New York Yankees World Series teams. I think he has 3 World Series rings as a player with the Yankees, as a role player, obviously alongside Jorge Posada. But, he has that experience. He was a one-time All-Star with the Cubs in 03 or 02, one of those years. And he always had those Yankees teams in contention for those 9 to 10 years he was managing them, and ultimately getting a World Series ring with them against a very, very high-octane Phillies team with, that line, Ryan Howard. If they didn't have the firepower and the coaching and leadership they had, Ryan Howard and Chase Utley could have taken over that series very easily. So I'm very excited about having Joe Girardi. What's up, Ryan? Welcome. Let me know what you think about that signing. But I think it's big. I think it's a step in the right direction. I think that Gabe Kapler is a young manager. He made some mistakes. He has room to grow. He did some good things. But all in all, I believe that down the line with another big league club, and I think that he's going to grow. But this team needed a stabilizing presence in that locker room, and they needed accountability. And I always look back to that one incident with Carlos Santana where he was flipping tables or whatever he was doing when he got mad that guys were in the locker room playing video games. And it's like we're not leading the division. We're not going to the playoffs every year. We're not a World Series caliber team. What in the F are you guys doing playing video games instead of working nonstop 24/7 on your craft? You guys are acting like you're all-stars already. You're not. You guys are acting like we're winning at the highest level right now. We were not. What are you guys playing around and joking for? You lack accountability. And it's one thing to try to connect with your players, but you can't be your child's friend as a parent to a certain extent. You can't be your player's friend. It's okay to show guys that you respect them and you have their backs and that you're easy to talk to. Like, if you have a problem, you can come talk to me, but you can't let people walk all over you and feel as though you're not going to hold them accountable when they're not performing up to their potential. And we saw too much of that over the past 2 years under Kapler. So this is a very good move, and I think you need to add on to this by going out and getting some starting pitching, one starting pitcher at least, and getting one arm for the bullpen. If you do those two things, Girardi the pieces that he needs to be successful, because we've seen what he can do with a CC Sabathia or a what was his name, AJ Burnett. He had those two starting pitchers, and you see what he was able to do with those guys on route to a World Series win. He had the one stud with CC, and then he had a very good second starter with Burnett, and he had a good bullpen. You already have the hitting, in my opinion. You're going to have McCutchen back. You have Bryce Harper. You have team Reese Hoskins, Real Muto, who showed that he's an all-star caliber catcher, really came on towards the end of the season. You saw what he brings to the table when he's really putting the bat on the ball. So you got pieces on offense, in my opinion. You just need to solidify that starting lineup, move Arrieta to the 3-4 spot, and go out and get a number 2/number 3 starting caliber pitcher to pair with Nola, and get one arm for the bullpen, preferably a closer. And Sir Anthony Dominguez coming back healthy, hopefully. And then those are the things that you need to shore up this team. And it needs to focus on pitching. And you have the manager now. He proven track record. He knows what he's doing. So I'm hyped about that. Let me know what you guys think about that. And let me shift this on over to the Philadelphia 76ers out there playing bully ball against those Boston Celtics on Wednesday night. They came out, they looked horrific. Didn't matter because they got into the paint and they scored whenever they wanted, however the hell they wanted to, and they played defense. They were suffocating on defense. They sucked the life out of that Celtics team at the end of the second quarter onto the end of the fourth quarter. They just sucked the life out of them. And I'm gonna tell you something right now, and I've been hearing about it a lot, but I've seen it with my own two eyes at the scrimmage, but now I'm really seeing it at in the first season game. Tybal, the rookie, that dude has a chance to be a top 5 defensive player in the league, at least from the wing spot, because he's so technically sound on defense, has a 7-foot wingspan as a wing player, as a shooting guard, and he just shut down Kemba Walker like you don't often see. Kemba had 10 points at halftime, ended the game with 12 points. Like, that should tell you everything you need to know. And everybody as we thought he was, and they should have kept Kyrie. No. It's not about that. Kemba Walker is an all-star caliber player, all-star caliber guard, but he just was not able to shake this dude off of him. And then you pair Tybal with Josh Richardson, who's 6'6", 6'7", good wingspan, really good defense. Then you have Ben Simmons, who's 6'10", who brings length on the floor on defense. Then you have Tobias moving to the 3, which is probably more natural for him, and it's easier for him to guard smaller guys and not guard power forwards in the paint all the time for 82 games. At the 4 and 5, like that defense, dog, between the Sixers and the LA Clippers, those are the two defensive teams I think that are going to set the bar for the East and the West. Those are the two teams right now. Because with the Clippers, you got Kawhi, you got the Claw, then you have Paul George, another, potentially first-team defensive player. Then you have Patrick Beverley. Like, Maybe in the paint, maybe they might have to do some different things, but out on the perimeter, they're able to stifle you with length and reach, and they can switch on anybody. They can switch on anybody and not feel as though they have to be out of position. It's not like you can switch off of Ben Simmons and go on switch on to JJ Redick. It ain't happening this year. You're going to switch off of Ben Simmons. You're going to switch on to Tybor or Josh Richardson. Totally different ball game. You're going to switch off of Josh Richardson and get a matchup with Al Horford. Are you serious? You're going to try to bring Embiid out to the going to send Horford out there to cover your stretch four and leave Embiid in the paint. What you going to do? You going to stay out there and try to drive past Horford? Ain't going to happen. You're going to try driving a lane. Embiid already had like 3 or 4 blocks in the first game. Sixers, they're exciting. And even though they struggled shooting, they will get better with that. The Celtics were struggling shooting as well, especially both teams from the three-point line. But when you have great defense, it makes up for a lack of shooting, especially a low percentage from three-point range, which I think they finished at 24. They held the Celtics to 93 points? Something like 93 or 95 points, one of the two scores. But they stifled them. And they're going to hold a lot of these teams under 100 points every night. They're going to hold a lot of teams under 95 or 90 points a lot of nights. Now, I was listening to ESPN, and they might be getting a little bit ahead of themselves. But, you have guys on there comparing them to the Pistons defensive teams of the mid-2000s, with Ben Wallace and Rasheed Wallace and Prince, those type of caliber teams, Chauncey Billups. And we'll see where the Sixers fall on that spectrum, but they're looking really good so far. It's one game, but it's something that I've been seeing in the preseason and in the scrimmage games, and we're seeing it manifest in the regular season as well. So hopefully they are who we think they are. So I'm excited about that. Sixers playing tomorrow night. Who are they playing? It's going to be a lit Saturday. I'm really excited for that. I'm going to see Joker tomorrow. Then I'm going to get out the movie theater, and I'm going to go watch these Sixers do what they do and show up and show out. Who are they playing tomorrow night? They're playing speak of the devil, they're playing the Pistons tomorrow night. So in Detroit. So we'll see what happens. Also, the Flyers playing tomorrow night against the Blue Jackets. They had a really good win last night. It's a shame they lost Michael Raffle. I don't know for how long. He's a very important forward. He's important for the penalty kill. He brings size and physicality, tenacity. But they put out a really good win against the Chicago Blackhawks. They really looked sharp. They were getting the puck into Chicago's zone. They were scoring when they wanted to, where they wanted to. I think it was a 4-1 win last night. I don't think they put up 5. I think it was 4-1. And they just played very well. I was very impressed. They played good defense. They got a little sloppy in the third period, but overall, they look really good. And Brian Elliott, if that's your backup goalie, you're in pretty good shape because he could be a starter for a lot of teams. And he's having to share time and play the backup role to the young Lion. So I like the Flyers goalie situation. I like the defense. I like the way they attack the penalty kill. We're 5th in power play efficiency. So we move the puck better. And on the penalty kill, we're aggressive. We're not sitting back in a passive zone trying to cut off lanes and block shots. Like, we're going and attacking the puck. I just really like what they're doing. I like the new direction, and they're just going to grow and continue to get better. Provorov, Haig, a lot of these guys that have been developing these past 2 to 3 years, they're starting to bear fruit. Sanheim, obviously, Gossespierre the Ghost, he does what he always does. And Closure, man, truth be told, he has the most points total scored since 2011, 2012. He's third on that list. Crosby. Think about that. Patrick Kane, Sidney Crosby, close your row. Most points scored, goals and assists since 2011, 2012. So hopefully they get to really take advantage of Chloe while he's still in his prime. I think he might have another 1 or 2 years of his prime left, hopefully. So let's get it rocking, man. Let's get it popping. It's a good year for Philly sports. Hopefully the Eagles will turn it around, which I'm about to get into right now. And there's this big thing with Orlando Scandrick, who just got cut after the Dallas game, the Dallas debacle, excuse me. Let me rephrase that. The Jerry World. Orlando Scandrick, Garden, I don't know if it was Amari Cooper, and lost he just lost the receiver on the route. He tripped and went flying off the screen. I don't even know where the hell he went, but it wasn't a good look. And he got cut the next day or whatever. And now he's coming back and saying, well, you know what? After being in that locker room for a week or a month or whatnot, I can see why they're having these issues where there's smoke, there's fire. They're resting on their laurels from winning the Super Bowl, and they're not holding each other accountable, for lack of a better phrase. And he's like, okay, well, I can understand why they're not winning. And Malcolm Jenkins came out and responded to that. I didn't read the full quote. I was actually just reading it. But he was saying, well, now we can see what type of guys we had in the locker room if they're acting like that. I think there's some bitterness, but I also believe there's some truth to that. I think there is a lack of accountability to a certain extent in this Eagles locker room. And I think that they do play as though 2017 and people are just supposed to respect us and bow down. It just doesn't work that way. When you won the Super Bowl, you were hungry. You went out and played every game as if people didn't respect you and you had to earn people's respect. And you also played as if you were the best team on the field and you weren't going to be told or shown anything else on that field out except for victory. And this year, I just don't see. We didn't see any fight in that team after the first quarter against Dallas, and that was not. That's not Philadelphia football. That's not Philadelphia sports. It's not how we operate around here. It's not the way we live on a day-to-day basis. So we expect, and that's not what it's hitting for. You've seen the exact opposite with the Sixers. Sixers came out there, smash mouth basketball, and be with the bloody lip, still out there blocking shots, all over the floor, falling down, diving for loose balls on to try to secure possession on defense. Like that's Philadelphia basketball. That's Philadelphia sports. That's how we carry ourselves, and we expect the same thing out of Eagles. So they're either going to show up and show out against the Bills, who are a very tough matchup. Their defense ain't playing. McDermott got those guys flying over there in Buffalo. They flying, man. They moving. It's getting cold out there. They getting irritated, and they just trying to hit people. So you better go up there with your lunch pail, ready to put your big boy pads on the hit. That's all I have to say. Nelson Aguilar, I don't want to hear about you saying you're hauling ass to try to catch that ball. Truth be told, I thought that ball was going to be hard to catch. I know everybody's like, oh, well, if he would have ran a little bit harder, he would have made it. I don't think he necessarily would have been able. He could have been a lot closer than what he was. He pulled up and alligator armed it when he didn't have to. That shows a lack of effort. And I think that's a systemic problem right now. But that's just my thoughts on those things. Let me wrap this up. It's about 20 minutes. So I talked about the Phillies and the Girardi signing. I talked about the Sixers, all the things that we saw in game one, what we're hoping to see against the Pistons in game two. I talked about the Flyers and their big win against the Blackhawks, and then things good and bad about the Eagles right now. And we'll see if they're going to make a move. My gut tells me that they're not going to make a move, or if they do make one, it's not going to be one that makes a big splash or waves in the ocean. I would like to see a AJ Green caliber wide receiver come to Philadelphia. You could get him for relatively cheap. The Bengals aren't going to re-sign him after this year. He's coming off an injury. He's going to have 7-8 games ahead of him. 0-6, 0-7. They're tanking, so you have leverage on them if you want to trade for AJ Green, which I think would be an excellent move if you could trade a third or fourth round pick for him, a third in the fourth or a third in the fifth for AJ Green. Sign him next year and give the money that Alshon's getting and give it to AJ Green. I feel like you have those options, but we'll see. But thanks for tuning in. Leave your comments in the section below. Make sure you tune in this Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 a.m. Pacific Time, for my Week 8 break NFL and probably recapping what's going on with the Sixers. So as always, appreciate you guys tuning in and enjoy your Friday night. Peace.